Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of
Stu.
Coming to You Live from Studio.
Stu.
We're very proud of this studio. All right, so today I wanted to ask my dad a question. Dad, do you feel like parents should argue in front of their kids?
Yes. Long as they do it respectfully. Should they belittle and curse each other and call each other names? No, that's never acceptable. Never. Because what we model at home, we are teaching our kid how to handle conflict. Even if we're very cordial and loving with each other, we're teaching them at all times. And so don't think it's strange when your kid, when they little, they get mad. I heard some kids, little kid, use some grown-up words saying the B word and MF this and that, and I already know where they come from.
Yeah.
I already know. And I've seen some parents being very ashamed that the kid say stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, John, don't say that. You've been saying it around him. What you expect? And he said it again because he think it's funny. It's a shame.
Do you feel like you and Mom respectfully argued in front of me?
Never. We did. We did. I mean, if we tried to end up toning it down and be respectful, oh, she'll go for the jugular. Your mom was the one to try to raise her voice, and any line ain't gonna let no line try to outroar him. Cause I mean, it's just in us to do that.
Yeah.
But you have never heard me call your mom names and
No.
stuff like that.
No, never.
You
I
did it.
I think what I saw as a kid was, I was like, eye roll, right? Because you guys were trying to hide stuff from me that I already knew what was happening.
I know.
And I
You told
remember,
me
I remember both of y'all saying like, we didn't want to argue in front of court. And I'm like, why? I mean, I already knew, you know what I'm saying?
You're
Like, I already
right.
knew something was off. So I think to me, as a kid, what did more damage, not really damage, but really like, it just set this interesting precedence, was having this persona in public, like we were good, and then in private, right? Like just
right.
bark, tear each other down, whatever. That for me was really confusing as a kid. I was like, well, what if you're going to yell in the house, just yell out in the streets too. Like, I'm not about to pretend.
That's right.
Like, I didn't like that. I didn't like feeling like I had to be different in the house versus outside in the street. Like, nobody needs to know our business. Okay.
No, well, you quit trying to overtalk me every time, raise up your voice on me here and that, this and that. Because if I go and talk to her in a normal voice and she upset, she will, you know how your mother is, she will go off. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. You ain't even afraid, scared no one. I mean, and beside that, I'm not your child. I'm not your child. Because you upset. I had a rough day. And do they give you the right? Do you think that you can come and yell at me and do this or that? And I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. What did I do to make you to react to me that way?
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is there was some other underlying reason, and I knew that.
Yeah.
And when I called on that, she would get upset because I told her about her.
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking. This is what I know. So don't play it off. Don't play me like Johnny Fufu or Jimmy Chuck or something like I don't know what's going on.
I never heard of the Jimmy Chuck one. I've heard of Johnny
something that
Foo.
come up.
I thought it was Bunny Foo, but okay.
It was Jimmy Fufu.
I don't know. But yeah, what am I trying to say? I saw you guys argue, but not respectfully. And I feel like how it affected me as an adult was that I learned inadvertently it's okay to talk to men any kind of way. Now, I would never do it to you. And honestly, I really have tried to check myself in relationships. Like, I haven't come like out of the side of my neck talking. I just haven't, because I think you and I had that relationship. But there have been times where I have, you know what I'm saying? But I saw that modeled in the house to where, like, it's just interesting. It was an interesting dynamic for one parent to say, well, I didn't want us to fight in front of her, but then I would see the behavior and I'm like, okay, so I tried it, right? Because I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And it does affect us as kids. Like, we just repeat exactly what we see.
Sure.
Regardless if, I had you as a really good example, right? Like, you've never raised your voice at me. You have never, cursed at me. You've just never done anything like sideways towards me. When you were disappointed, you were just very calm. You would crinkle your forehead, but you've never raised your voice at me. So I think that taught me to expect that behavior from men. But how I respond to men sometimes, I have to check myself because of what I saw modeled. I have to check myself. I'm like, whoa, I can't even talk to this person. Like, this is a person. But I think because that was ingrained in me that was okay. Because inadvertently, it wasn't explicitly taught. Like, you can talk to men like this, but that's what I saw.
Yeah, you seen your mother talk to me like
Yeah.
that sometime, but she know I don't believe in I don't believe in hitting women.
Yeah.
And I never raised my hand to your mother anyway. And she would just express herself in anger and say whatever come to her mind. But she know how to push that line, how far to push that line also. Mm-hmm. And when I get fed up and said, that's enough, better calm down. She knew when to back up. Because I always give her the opportunity to get whatever in her out. She had a hard day at work. I made excuses for her.
Yeah,
that's
like,
what it was.
That's another thing.
But it had nothing to do with her hard work or nothing.
That's another thing that I think inadvertently you taught me as your daughter is that it's also okay. Like, we excuse behavior sometimes. Because I saw that happen too. It's like both dynamics. I saw a dad and a mom, right? Because I think sometimes we like to put all of this responsibility on dads. Like, if you had a good dad, then you could turn out this way. I'm like, it's both parents. It's not just one. And kids are watching both and how the dynamics happen, and they will repeat both patterns. Sometimes we just can't help it. Now, when I became conscious to my patterns, right, as an adult, I can no longer blame you and mom. I wasn't like, well, I'm going to talk to men any kind of way because I saw it. I was like, no, I'm an adult now. I have to take responsibility. Mm-hmm. Okay, I know my tendency. Sometimes can be to come from the side of my neck. I need to check that. Mm-hmm. Like, I need to put that in. Why am I doing this? It becomes my responsibility then. But anyway, so, okay, to people out there, parents out there, what advice would you give them about how to address conflict?
It's okay to be angry. Mm-hmm. It really is. But be mindful of the children you're surrounding and what you say to each other. Because words are just like guns. I mean, the old saying, sticks and stone may break my bone, but word never hurt me. That's a lie. Words
it's true.
Can devastate you.
Yeah.
Especially from the one that you love, that you're supposed to hold to a high degree or whatever it is, and they violate that trust. Mm-hmm. And they say things to you or whatever it is because they're mad. Oh, I didn't mean that. I was just upset. But you already have shot the person.
No, because
you can't bring that back.
That's what I'm saying. And people will say, I didn't mean to kill him. Okay, but it's not my job to figure out the intent behind why you did what you did. Your intent may not have been to do it, but sometimes I feel like even in conflicts, especially in families, parents want kids to just interpret intent. Mm-hmm. We don't have the life experience yet to interpret anything.
That's right.
So
Or the
then that's why we
capability.
have these issues when we grow up,
That's
right? And
right.
that's why you have to go to therapy because then you can interpret. But as a kid, we don't. I think, you said for conflict, like it's okay to disagree. I also think we have to teach kids the language of how to disagree.
Yes.
How do you address your feeling? I feel sad about because blank formula, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it can get more explicit or more eloquent than that, but I just feel like, right? Like you have to give kids the words to say rather than like,
Absolutely.
like, okay, what does that mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're exactly right. What we do and what we model in front of our kid, it sticks. It's there.
It's forever. And it's not
You're
just
right.
with me, because I think, okay, what I saw, had I not done my own work to correct that, I too pass it down. So not only are you affecting the kid,
But for generations
but for
to come.
generations to come, which is why we have the issues we have
Absolutely.
in our families, in our community,
In our
because it's just
society.
blindly, unconsciously passed down.
Yes.
Like, well, my mom and dad fought like this, so we're about to fight like this. But that doesn't make it.
And you can't go to the church, oh, hallelujah, this and that. But, and that confused kid even more so. And just like you say, we are one way out in the street. But what we are at home is truly who we are.
Yeah,
And kids see all of that.
right.
They know whether we genuine. They know we're a hypocrite or whatever it is. They know you get around people and you put on this act or whatever it is. And sometimes I have verbalized that non-verbally. When your mom had been with me, try to act so lovingly, and you just, just showed your butt a few minutes ago, and we get around people. Oh my husband, woo! You talking about that tornado just go off inside of me, and I'm not good at hiding my feelings. And
Oh, I
have
know.
and I have did that before.
What
And I know you had to check me one time. We
did
was
I
in
say?
church.
Because I don't remember.
I'm gonna remember. We were in church one time. Your mother was up there saying this and that to the other women, and I kept moving around because I was just upset because I know you lying like on the. I kept moving around. You said, "Dad." I like, oh, you checked me. I was like,
I do not remember this
We
at all.
always sat together. I remember very clearly. You and Dad. I was like, oh man, because you and I, when we were sitting in church, we always sat together. And your mother was up there talking to the women here and that, this and that. And I know when you kind of more or less, Dad, with me, I know other people heard that. And I mean, like it really grabbed my attention, busted. And I was like, man, I got caught up in my own feelings. Even my daughter caught me. So I sat there and didn't say anything and didn't do anything else. But nevertheless, you still busted me out. You sure did.
You're struggling. Man, I don't remember this story.
always
I wish I
have-
did, though.
You have always been very observant and aware of what was going on. And I remember one time when we was in the car, your mom was driving or whatever it is. It was something how me and you laughed that we were talking about something and she opened the trunk and this bottle fell out or something. Woo! She went, oh, we were talking about how people are not organized, this and this and this and that and whatever. And we was just talking, walking. And she opened up the trunk and we both started laughing. She got in the car. Oh, man. She come unglued. And I remember, I was sitting up there, I was really shocked. Because me and you was just having a good time laughing. She didn't think that was funny at all. She thought we were talking about her on the slide.
Okay.
She went off or whatever it is, and then I kind of fired back at her. You saying stuff you don't know. And it hurt you because you start sniffling back there. And she said, see, that's what I'm telling you. I told you you should never argue in front of that daughter or whatever. I'm like, I should never argue. You started all this. I'm just responding to what you said. I was like, when I looked at you, I said nothing else.
Yeah.
And she kept going, yeah, 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 because she figured she was winning because I didn't say anything. She felt she was winning or whatever it is. And I looked at her, I said, Denise, you made your point. That's enough. That's all I told her. I said, that is enough. And I didn't say anything else. She zipped it. Because she know I was at that point. If she had kept going, I know myself. I would have come unglued on her. And would I wanted to do that in front of you? No.
Well, I think
You can get angry,
yeah.
but I would never get to anger where I would ever curse at her or call her name. You know, that's not me. You my wife. If I'm gonna call you different names and stuff like that, what that makes me?
But kids can sense when we're disagreeing, but it's respectful or not. We can sense that as kids. We may not be able to have the words to communicate what we're feeling and all the things, but I'm sure I was crying because I could sense that this was not good.
Well, you sense the tension between
Yeah.
me and your mother, and I remember you checked both of us one time. You just come from church and you talking about all that hallelujah and stuff like that. Look how we acted. We not a loving family. You checked both of us that day. I remember that for sure. I remember like, yeah, you right, baby girl. And I, shut up. I ain't saying nothing else.
Okay, so if you had it to do all over again, how would you disagree? Like, I know you can't speak for mom, but like if you had it to do all over again, how would you go about disagreeing?
You don't have to say nasty thing to show another person you disagree about something, what they said or whatever it is. You can still voice your disagreement or show your disagreement in a normal tone of voice instead of yelling or whatever it is. You know, like I said, I already talk loud when I get heated or whatever it is. You just like you at a football game when
Yeah.
you get excited. You're gonna if you think you may think you talking normal, but you're not. And it's something that you have to work at. It don't just come automatically. And really be conscious about the words that come out your mouth. Think about it before you say it. You don't say things just because of your anger. Just like you said, words kill, regardless of what. And you know, I can't tell you my intent. I did it. I said it.
Yeah.
And regardless of how that word hurts you or whatever it is, it still struck you in a way that it shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Because I was careless. And it's just like a loaded gun. The gun is not dangerous or whatever it is in and of itself if it's handled properly.
Yeah.
But if you handle it improperly, it'll blow a 2-year-old baby head off just like it would a 70-year-old man head off. It doesn't discriminate. It's the same way with words.
Yep.
Words can heal. They can build up and they can destroy. Think about this. When I want to express love to you, it's not only with my action, but it's with words.
Yeah.
When I want to hurt you, it's not only by my action, but it with words too, coupled with that. And any time when people want something for you, they know how to be nice to get something from you. And when they done got what they want at that particular time, they can turn around, they call you everything but a child of God. People do that. But these are con men, these are criminals, these are people that really don't have your best interest. If you want to know how somebody truly feel about you, catch them in that moment when they're angry with you. They're gonna tell you how they really feel and what they really think.
But how can you do that with somebody but not in a like tear you down, cutting kind of way? Because I feel like I can tell you how I'm feeling, and when I'm mad at you
It's
about
choice. It's
something,
choice, Courtney.
but it's not, I'm not like, and then you're no good, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, Dad, I'm mad. And
yeah,
you're like, oh, what's up, baby girl? I'm like,
you're right.
I'm just upset. Like, I don't,
This is being respectful, and and you telling me exactly how you feel and why you feeling.
yeah.
You're not just yelling just to be yelling or whatever
Honestly,
it
that's a
is.
lot of energy, and I don't have it.
I,
Just to yell to yell. I really don't. I'm trying to. I think because of what I saw you guys do, I even remember as a kid, I was like, man, that's a lot of energy. I mean, I didn't think in those words, but what I'm saying, I was like, this is exhausting to see two people just like yelling back and forth, but about nothing.
it is about nothing. Hate produces energy just like love does.
Yeah.
It do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say hate was good, but it produces energy. I mean, there's some people like to hurt people just to see them hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when they are very upset. That's why some people can go up there and just murder people just to see them die. That's that's not that person is hurt. That person is evil. And that right there is a learned behavior, whatever it is. You may think about it later on that, oh, I'm sorry, but no, you have killed the person.
Mm.
And there's some consequences behind that.
So if you were to talk to like a new dad,
A new
right?
day, I said, look, you can be angry, but
Mm-hmm.
just think about what you said. And when you are so compassionate about something, don't discuss it while you're angry. Walk away for a few minutes, take some deep breath, control your anger or whatever it is, and think about what it is you really want to say to that person. And you don't have to doctor it up, but
Mm-hmm.
just don't do it in the heat of the moment right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're going to say some things that you may regret,
Mm-hmm.
that you can't take back.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take 2 minutes, just breathe
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is, then speak your mind.
And
Speak,
what's the intent of
being
speaking your
honest,
mind?
being
Yeah,
honest,
being honest. And
being
what's the
honest
intent
about
behind?
your what
Yeah,
you feel.
yeah.
And like I say, people don't. I don't require you to be perfect, but
Mm-hmm.
I do expect you to be honest.
Yeah. I think that another thing that I learned when I became an adult that's really helpful is how to identify my feelings. We have a lot of feelings, right? And
Mm.
under certain feelings, like anger is really fear, right? Under sadness is really loneliness. Like, I think getting a feelings wheel out, being as intentional about disagreeing as even just having the language to disagree, but you have to be intentional about teaching that to kids. So I feel like bringing the feelings will out not only in times of disagreement, but in times of joy, so that it becomes a normal part of like family
Mm-hmm.
discussion, right? It's on the refrigerator. It's like, okay, oh look, you have to help kids to understand what their feelings are. So it's like, oh wow, like, start labeling happy, sad. Oh, that sounds like it could be loneliness. What do you think? Because kids are very intelligent,
And very smart.
very
Very
intelligent.
smart.
And I think we have that intelligence that just kind of gets programmed along the way, but that raw, just natural intelligence of knowing ourselves when we're young, if parents can really nurture that in a kid, I think that that is what is going to impact generations. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But having the language, because I think had we had the language in our family to say, like, for example, mom with the bottle situation, I don't remember that. But I wonder, I'm curious what would have happened if she had the language to say, I'm feeling uh,
That you guys are laughing at me, or this was directed toward me, or whatever
right.
it is.
Well, what was the feeling though? Because that's a
Yes.
thought, but
Yes.
because also those two things are very different things. People can
Mm-hmm.
say they think that and equate it to a feeling. They're two
Mm-hmm.
very different things. So maybe she
Yes,
was
you're right.
feeling embarrassed
Mm-hmm.
that a bottle fell out of the car,
Mm-hmm.
and then you guys said XYZ, which I took as this. Is that true? I think we have to get curious about what's happening too in conversation, as opposed to just assuming ill intent, especially from our family members.
And we do that.
Yeah.
You're right. We assume too
Yeah,
much.
like you're laughing at me. Like, why would I
Yes.
do like,
Yes.
I
It
don't know,
doesn't
why would
make
I
sense.
laugh at you? You're my mom.
Yep.
I don't remember the scenario, but you and I giggle all the time about stuff. That's just how we are. We're always giggling. I laugh at your hands if they're ashy. You know what I mean? Like you tell me when I was a teenager, your jeans look like they were sprayed on, and we just giggle,
Yeah.
But I think that everybody's not the same. We only had a family of 3, and we had all different personalities. And within a family of however many, everybody has a different personality. So I think we just have to be very curious when it comes to it's a discussion. If we can get curious about what's going on inside of not only the child but the mom and the dad, I think that it kind of solves a lot of things.
It does. It does solve
Ask
a lot
questions.
of things. It does. You're right. And we do a lot of things based on assumptions.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we assume this and assume that, but when it's so far from that, because why? You said it. We didn't ask the question. We didn't take the time to really ask a question or be concerned about what the other people feel.
Yeah.
Because I think too that when you truly love someone, it kind of slows you down. I was always trying to be very conscious on how I portrayed myself with you. I mean, I got upset when you didn't do things right here when I know you're capable. But did that give me the right to try to belittle you in some way? No, that's not going to motivate you.
No. I remember you used to actually,
No.
you came from this jolly, like your voice has a lot of like intonations in it, right? But when you got upset, you would bring it all the way down. It was almost like you went really monotone and calm. Like you slowed all the way down when you would talk to me. It would be several pauses because I could tell you were really thinking about what you were going to say to me because you knew it was going to impact me. And Dad, that's incredible because it did. To this day, in partnership with a man, I'm like, whoa, like when I get a little loud, I'm like, I don't know how to deal with that, right? Because I'm like, my dad never. The expectation or the bar that was set was that if we're going to have a conversation, especially a hard one, that you would approach it calmly, whoever my partner is. Because that's all I saw modeled was like this, like deep breath, baby girl. Your old dad, I'm just disappointed.
I learned that from, tell you the truth, from one of my commanders. And I still keep in contact with him today. His name was Joseph C. Bartow III.
That sounds like a commander.
But
literally.
A very stern guy, but he was a very genuine guy. I mean, he understood human nature, and it's a lot of us always check him to see whether he was just like all the rest. We always say all the rest of the commanders, they're here to check him out. They don't care nothing about you. Not him.
Yeah.
That wasn't true. He truly did. And that soldier would do anything for this guy. This guy was kind of like when it was time for company sports or stuff like that, he could play some ball. I didn't know he played for Coach K at West Point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he knew the game.
Yeah.
But he had won everybody's trust the way he was. If he didn't like something, I mean, he could really talk stuff to you to make you feel like, oh man, I really let him down, man. No. And when something happened, everybody felt that they really let him down. They didn't want to do it because he was genuine. He was that kind of guy.
That's how you were, Dad. With me, like I felt like when I did something, I was never afraid. I just felt like, man, I let my dad down. That's how I felt. I did, and it's because you built trust. In our interactions, when we disagree, there's a lot of trust. So I know I can kind of, sometimes I can get real passionate. Like I found out that you had went to the hospital, you didn't tell me. Remember, I went,
Yes.
I was like, Dad, how come you went and tell? And you just kind of was like, you let me get it out. And you're like, all right, so I see that you're upset. And I was like, yeah, I'm upset.
Yeah, but what are you going to do? I
Yeah.
didn't want to upset you.
Right. What I'm saying is though, that reaction, you always gave me the space to express my emotions and then respond not from a place of like, oh, she's trying to attack me. It was
Yeah.
more from like a place of, okay, she just needed to get that out for a minute and then I'm going to respond. You would respond
Yeah.
as
Instead
opposed to
of reacting.
react.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that's how remember when I moved to Fort Knox and
Oh,
he saw
Michael.
you? Yeah.
Michael, one of the
Okay.
1 hour soldiers.
So
He,
the
he,
so the people know the backstory. So I moved to Fort Knox, Kentucky, and I was moving to on base housing, and my dad was helping me to move there. So I get there, and the property manager he meets us at the house. So we're getting out of the car, walking down the sidewalk towards this man, and I see this grown man start to cry, and I was like, "What's happening?" And he looks at me. He said, "That was my first sergeant. That was First Sergeant Jackson." The man is crying, and I was like, "What is happening?" I said, "Oh yeah, I guess he knows him like I know him." But I can only imagine as a first sergeant that you guys probably would disagree in the things that you had to do because that was your whole job. Your whole role is to be the disciplinarian of the younger soldiers. But he was crying, Dad. That says a lot about you and your character too, though.
yeah, but like I say, soldier, they expect you to be honest with them.
Yeah.
And I always came from a place of being genuine.
Mm,
It wasn't I was using them or anything like that. I was just being genuine.
but you also let people just be people.
Yes, you
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
You never know what you have around them if you always got your thumb and suppressing them and not let them be who they are. Because you'll find out, oh, you got some very talented people surrounding you if you take the time to try to learn.
Key word, take the time to try to learn. And that's what I'm saying when it comes to this whole discussion on should you argue in front of your kids, I think that it's fine to do it. And also, you have to take the time. Like, I think so flippantly, we can disagree about stuff and yell. And it's like, I got out what I needed to get out and I move on. And there's not a lot of time spent around the person, understanding where they're coming from. Why are you saying what you're saying? What's behind all of this
Absolutely. Absolutely.
instead of just wanting the person to understand,
Yes.
right? Like you
Or
gotta
assume,
understand me.
or assuming that person understand you. No, no one know what's going on in your head until you end up telling them with the words that comes out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Basically, you don't. And you don't have to be an Einstein or use flattery words.
Yeah.
Just be honest.
Yeah.
Just be honest. And truly care. If you truly care, everybody pick up on that.
Yeah. What would you say to the dads though, like who did maybe have like a situation like ours, who back in the day all they did was argue in front of their kid and they just didn't know how to do it correctly?
Well, but since you know now, so you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You can always pass on to somewhere. Hey, look, that arguing, that doesn't work. I live this, I live that, or whatever it is. But there's a better way to do this if you take the time to do this and this and that. Because we all are evolving
Yeah.
in life. Some of the things, I wish I had knew all of the things that I know now at 70. I wish I knew those at 20. Can I imagine how far along I would have been and how a lot of pitfalls I would have fell into because I knew.
Yeah.
But again, would I've learned anything too? Everything happened for a reason, and there's a time for everything. And like my dad used to tell me, if you knew all of that stuff like that, it could have made you a devil too, because having knowledge about something teach you really how to manipulate people if the other one don't know it. You may not be mature enough to handle that, and people would trust you, and you could end up scarring them for the rest of their life too. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
If the thing is learn from your prior mistake.
And if you don't know,
And
ask.
if you don't know, there's somebody out there.
Yeah.
There's nothing new on the sun. There's somebody out there been through what you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody out there will listen to you and will help you if you are willing to seek that advice and not be afraid to confide in someone. I know sometimes we can be so private we'll suffer quietly too, and we won't tell anyone. Even though, when I don't want to tell you something, you hear like, "Daddy, you all right?" "Yeah, I'm okay." "No, you're not." "No, you're not." "Well, you're right, baby girl. This is what's going on." I mean, you already busted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just go on and tell them. "Oh, I just don't want you to worry about this and this and that, but I'm working through this issue or whatever it is, and you have given me so many answers, solution to a problem that I knew, but I just need verifying. No, not verifying. Yeah, I guess reassuring. That's what I was thinking. You're not bad, because like I say, we live in a world where people will make right look wrong and wrong look right or whatever it is. But there's somebody, I always say, there's just like you, I know you truly care. That's why I can always confide in you.
Yeah.
I can tell you about this and this and that, and you're going to give me the right answer that you know of.
I mean, same for me.
Everybody needs
Yeah.
that.
Same for me. I feel like I could tell you anything and everything.
Yeah, we need
You
that.
know me. So,
One thing I learned in this life, and I use that as part of my little saying at the bottom of my email. No one of us is smarter than all of us.
yeah.
We never will be smarter than all of us. Too many minds. God have made so many great people, and He didn't put all the answers in you. Trust me, you might want to think you know everything, but the truth of the matter, when you see a person think they know everything, you already know. Let me get away from that person here. 'Cause you can't tell him nothing because he think he know more than you, or he better than you, or whatever it is. And you sit there and watch him. Say, okay, you get ready to fall in the ditch, but I want to tell him he gonna fall in the ditch, but he already, look at you as though you never know anything, and then you just be at the edge. Say, well, I knew you were gonna fall in there, so I just got this rope right here. I help you out. They know that you know.
Yeah. Well, we have to help each other.
We have to help each other.
We gotta help each other. All right. Well.
That was a good subject, though. Thank you, Courtney. But it's a much needed subject because we all gonna have disagreement. I don't care, from family to friends to
Yeah.
to church members to whatever. You will have disagreement, but there is a place where we can get our point across if we're willing to respect each other's thought, and you don't have to yell to get that across. Especially as young kids.
Yep. Well, everybody, as me and my dad say when we get off the phone, okay, bye.
Bye.